Caitlin Clark joined Aaliyah Boston and Candace Parker on their podcast, Post Moves. Great episode, by the way. And there was something that I noticed. Caitlin Clark was not committing to the Indiana Fever long term when her and Aaliyah Boston talked about.
I love playing with you.
Yeah, well, I'm only signed till...
Yeah. Well, don't worry about that.
Well, next year.
Don't worry.
She said, well, hey, look, I'm only signed till next year. I love playing with you too, but I'm only signed till next year. You're here till 2029. I'm not necessarily, respectfully. You know what I mean? Listen, I think Caitlin Clark should hold off on re-signing with the Indiana Fever. If she's going to re-sign, she's signing it. So at the end of the day, I think Caitlin Clark needs to continue to leave the door open on potentially not signing with the Indiana Fever. Now, shout out to Rhodes Rants. He posted this, and then he said, well, we're witnessing the biggest bag fumble of all time by the Indiana Fever. Wow. And I agree. Now, what this is the yearly league attendance by the team. Now, you already know, the Indiana Fever, they're doing absolutely anything to get people to come out to these games. They're doing all type of gimmicks that we hadn't seen them do. We hadn't had to see them go to within Caitlin Clark's first every home and away game just off of the name Caitlin Clark alone. You guys have screwed the pooch, man. You blew it. You don't think that you guys putting Raven Johnson, who plays 5 minutes a game, averaging 1 point a game, on flyers instead of Caitlin Clark plays an effect on the attendance? You guys don't think the fact that you keep trying to put Kelsey Mitchell front and center on all the promotional kits and put Caitlin Clark off to the side, league attendance by the team. Now, you already know, the Indiana Fever, they're doing absolutely anything to get people to come out to these games. They're doing all type of gimmicks that we hadn't seen them do. We hadn't had to see them go to within Caitlin Clark's first 2 seasons. All of a sudden, they're giving away free tenderloin sandwiches. They're giving away free oil changes. They're doing boggling. And this organization, I think Caitlin Clark needs to seriously consider walking away from the Indiana Fever. Don't sign that epic deal. Pack your bags and go elsewhere. Walk away from them. I mean, if they don't get it together, you got to hold their feet to the fire. I would, coach, get out of my way.
The Indiana Fever just lost their billion-dollar golden goose, and the reason is absolutely devastating. Caitlin Clark walked into a podcast recording, looked directly into the camera, and delivered the most calculated threat in WNBA history. She didn't just refuse to commit to staying in Indianapolis. She basically told the entire organization that unless they fire head coach Stephanie White and clean house immediately, she's walking away from her Supermax extension and taking her global empire somewhere else. And here's the kicker. The franchise is already hemorrhaging money so badly that they're literally giving away free oil changes just to get people in the seats. Let me break down exactly what happened, because the mainstream media is completely missing the psychological warfare that just took place. Caitlin Clark appeared on the Post Moves podcast with her teammate Aaliyah Boston and WNBA legend Candace Parker. The conversation was casual, relaxed, just teammates talking about the future. And Boston, who's locked into her contract until 2029, looks at Clark with genuine warmth and says, "Fever till 2029, hey, I love playing with you." This was the perfect setup. The exact moment where any media-trained superstar is supposed to smile, nod enthusiastically, and pledge their undying loyalty to the franchise. That's what the front office expects. That's what the marketing department demands. That's what keeps ownership sleeping peacefully at night. But Caitlin Clark didn't say any of that. She looked back at Boston completely unfazed, her face entirely devoid of corporate enthusiasm, and delivered a quote that absolutely shattered every window in the Fever executive offices. "Yeah, well, I'm only signed until next year. Don't worry about that. We'll figure that out unless I sign my epic." Let that sink in for a second. She didn't commit. She didn't pledge loyalty. She explicitly, deliberately, and publicly left the door wide open. For those who don't understand WNBA contracts, the epic refers to the Supermax extension available to all WNBA players on rookie deals. It's generational wealth, the type of guaranteed money that 99% of athletes sign the millisecond it's offered. Here's where it gets absolutely wild, though. Caitlin Clark isn't 99% of athletes. She's a basketball genius with brilliant advisors who understands exactly what kind of hostile environment she's dealing with in Indianapolis. She's got a head coach in Stephanie White who's been caught on camera physically yanking her by the arm during games. Coach who proudly tells media she wants to run the offense through Demeyer's Dantas instead of putting the ball in the hands of the greatest playmaker on earth. She's dealing with a front office led by Kelly Croscott and Amber Cox that intentionally leaves her off promotional graphics to elevate bench players averaging 1 point per game. This is a toxic, deeply insecure culture that actively resents her unprecedented popularity and views her as a threat rather than their savior. So Clark is executing the ultimate leverage play. She's holding her signature hostage and staring directly at the Simon family ownership group with an undeniable message. You need me infinitely more than I need you. If you don't clean house, if you don't fire Stephanie White, if you don't bring in coaches who actually respect my genius, I will absolutely not sign that extension. I'll play out my contract, become a free agent, and take my global brand to a franchise that understands how to treat a superstar. And here's the most terrifying part for Indiana's executives. They know she's not bluffing, because their financial foundation is already collapsing in real time, proving exactly how dependent they are on her individual brand. Now listen to this part, because the economic data is an absolute bloodbath for the Fever. Recent WNBA attendance numbers just dropped, and they're sitting in a humiliating 5th place in league attendance. 5th place. The Golden State Valkyries, a brand new expansion team, are selling out consistently. The New York Liberty are at the top. Atlanta Dream is packing their smaller arena. Las Vegas Aces with Aja Wilson are effortlessly selling out. And way down the list, embarrassingly sitting in 5th, is the Indiana Fever. This is the biggest bag fumble in modern sports history. Just 1 year ago, during Clark's rookie season, they were the hottest ticket on the planet. Selling out every home game, selling out massive NBA arenas on the road, with fans paying thousands just to sit in the upper bowl. Wait, it gets worse. They were the undisputed cash cow that single-handedly secured the entire league a massive television deal. Now they're staring at thousands of empty seats every night at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. How does a franchise go from global phenomenon to 5th in attendance in under 24 months? It requires a level of front office incompetence that's almost impossible to comprehend. The fans didn't stop loving Caitlin Clark. They stopped trusting the Indiana Fever organization. You cannot continuously spit in the faces of paying customers and expect them to keep opening their wallets. And get this, the desperation to stop the bleeding has turned them into a league-wide laughingstock. Because they refuse to lean into the Caitlin Clark phenomenon, because they're pathologically obsessed with proving they don't need a single star, they've been relegated to using the most embarrassing minor league gimmicks imaginable. They're giving away free ice cream at the door, hosting family nights with $28 tickets bundled with cheese and lukewarm hot dogs. But here's the part that sounds like parody. They're giving away free oil changes. A professional WNBA team is partnering with local mechanics to offer free tires and oil changes if you buy tickets. There are reports they're doing raffles for furniture sets and offering free housing repairs just to get bodies in seats so national TV cameras don't expose the empty lower bowl. Hold up, did you catch what just happened here? You have the female Michael Jordan on your roster, a player who effortlessly commands global attention, and you're literally begging mechanics to give away oil changes to fill your arena. Because you're too stubborn and ego-driven to simply market your superstar and fire your incompetent coach. This is exactly why Clark's refusal to commit on that podcast is the most brilliant, necessary move she could make. She has Indiana completely backed into a corner with no escape route. Here's the kicker, though. If she signs that epic contract right now, she surrenders all her leverage. She becomes trapped in Stephanie White's archaic 1990s offense until 2029. A permanent prisoner to toxic locker room politics and disastrous marketing strategies. She'd be signing away her prime to an organization that actively resents her success. But by leaving the door open, by saying, "We'll figure that out," she instantly becomes the most powerful entity in the entire league. And she knows there are 11 other franchises that would fire their entire coaching staff and hand her the keys tomorrow if she indicated she wanted to leave. Look at the Toronto expansion team entering with a blank slate, massive international backing, and desperate need for a franchise face. They're rumored to be targeting elite coaches like Sandy Brindello. Imagine Clark fleeing Indiana's toxicity to build a Canadian basketball empire from scratch, with a front office that worships her. Or consider the Golden State Valkyries, built on the exact philosophy of elite shooting and spacing that Clark thrives in. The options are limitless, and every single one is superior to her current nightmare. So here you have it. The Simon family ownership is officially on the clock. The empty seats are eating into profit margins, and that viral podcast clip put a public expiration date on their incompetence. They have to make a choice right now. Keep Stephanie White, protect fragile egos, run a fence through Demire's Dantas, and watch Clark walk out the door to leave them in crushing irrelevance. Or act like a billion-dollar enterprise, clean house completely, bring in a coach like Lisa Bluter who understands generational genius, and secure their future for the next decade. The era of trying to humble Caitlin Clark is over. The leverage has shifted. The contract is ticking down, and millions of fans are backing her with their wallets. So what do you think? Is this the greatest leverage play in WNBA history? Drop your take in the comments, smash that like button if this breakdown opened your eyes, and subscribe because this Indianapolis Civil War is reaching critical mass. Hit that notification bell because we're documenting every dollar lost and every move made. I'll see you in the next one. But here's what makes this situation even more explosive. Clark isn't just threatening to leave. She's systematically documenting every piece of evidence that proves Indianapolis doesn't deserve her. And the receipts are absolutely damning. Just last week, leaked footage surfaced of Stephanie White in practice literally telling Clark to stop being selfish for calling out defensive rotations to her teammates. This is a coach telling the smartest basketball mind in the sport to stop being a floor general. It's like telling Mozart to stop composing symphonies because it makes the triangle player feel inadequate. The psychological abuse runs so deep that Clark's body language has completely shifted. Watch any game footage from her rookie year compared to now. In year one, despite all the physical targeting and cheap shots, she still had that infectious smile and competitive fire. She was diving for loose balls, celebrating teammates' buckets, engaging with fans during timeouts. Now, she looks like a prisoner counting down days until parole, dead eyes during team huddles. Zero enthusiasm during Stephanie White's bizarre timeout speeches. She's mentally checked out of this toxic environment, and the cameras are capturing every second of her misery. And the front office keeps making it worse with their tone-deaf public relations disasters. Kelly Crosskopf actually went on local radio last month and said, and I quote, "We want to make sure Caitlin understands she's part of a team, not the whole team." Are you kidding me? This is a player who averaged nearly 9 assists per game while being double-teamed every possession, and you're questioning her team mentality. She's literally the most unselfish superstar in professional sports, and they're gaslighting her into thinking she's the problem. It's organizational malpractice at the highest level. Clark's advisors are playing chess, while Indiana's front office is eating the checkers pieces. Because every insulting comment, every dismissive gesture, every attempt to minimize her impact is being cataloged as evidence for why she needs to escape. When free agency arrives, she'll have a highlight reel of organizational dysfunction that justifies walking away from guaranteed money. And here's the nuclear option nobody's talking about. She doesn't even need the WNBA anymore. Her Nike deal alone generates more annual income than most WNBA franchises are worth. She could literally retire tomorrow, focus on her global brand partnerships, and make more money than any basketball contract could ever offer. That's the checkmate scenario keeping Indiana's ownership awake at night. Because Clark holds all the cards, and they're finally realizing their billion-dollar asset has zero financial incentive to tolerate their amateur hour operation. The power dynamic has completely flipped, and the Simon family is about to learn the most expensive lesson in professional sports history. You either treat generational talent with the respect they've earned, or you watch them take their empire somewhere that will. The clock is ticking. Indianapolis. Choose wisely.